Okay, so you've seen the headlines, right? The language is getting sharper, the situation in the Gulf feels more and more tense, and it's honestly kind of hard to cut through all that noise. So that's what we're going to do in this explainer. We're going to dive into the source material and actually decode what's going on, looking at the military moves, the diplomatic chatter, and even the economic signals to get a clearer picture. Let's get into it.
And this is the big question, isn't it? The one on everyone's mind. You turn on the news, you hear the official statements, and it really feels like we're just teetering right on the edge. Is a conflict about to happen?
Well, here's the thing. Our source material, when you dig into it, actually suggests a different story. When you look at all the moving parts, the signals aren't really pointing toward an imminent attack. They're pointing to something called deterrence management. The goal here isn't to start a war, it's actually to prevent one. So let's break down how we know that.
First up, let's look at the hardware, the actual military movements. In any kind of high-stakes standoff like this, the way ships, planes, and troops move, well, it tells a story. You just have to know what to look for.
So what are we actually seeing? On one hand, yeah, there are clear signs of readiness. You've got surveillance flights keeping an eye on things, tankers are ready to refuel jets at a moment's notice, and there's coordination with allies in the region. But, and this is the crucial part, it's what we're not seeing that tells the real story. There's no huge surge of fighter jets moving into place. There are no bombers being staged for a strike, and the aircraft carriers aren't getting into their classic attack patterns. These are the absolute telltale signs of an impending attack, and right now, they're just not there.
So what does all this add up to? It's what our source calls a deterrence posture. It's like flexing your muscles to show you're ready to fight, which hopefully makes the other guy think twice about throwing the first punch. It's a very visible demonstration of capability, all without signaling that you're about to attack. It's basically a high-stakes, nonverbal conversation where the main goal is to make sure the fight never even starts.
Okay, so now let's switch gears and look at the diplomatic front, because what officials say in front of the cameras is only ever one piece of the puzzle. A lot of times, the most important conversations are the ones that happen completely out of sight.
Publicly, yeah, the language is tough. Our source points out that the official messaging has hardened. You're hearing a lot of emphasis on deterrence and very clear warnings about provocation. This is all part of the public posturing, right? It matches the military's show of force with a strong verbal stance, and it absolutely adds to that feeling that we're on the brink.
But here's the other side of that coin. The source indicates that while the front door seems locked with all these public arguments, the back door might just be open. It's very plausible that quiet, back-channel talks are happening, maybe through a neutral country like Oman, to de-escalate the situation far away from the public glare.
All right, we've looked at military hardware and we've listened to the diplomatic language, but there's a third incredibly powerful indicator we can look at: the financial markets. You know, money doesn't really have an opinion, it just calculates risk. So, what are the markets telling us?
This chart does a great job of capturing the mood. That middle bar shows you the current oil price. You can see it includes a little something called a risk premium. Traders are definitely being cautious, so the price is a bit higher than normal. But look at the gap between that bar and the third one. That's what prices would look like with a real wartime supply shock. So the big takeaway here is that the market is pricing in caution, but it's not pricing in a full-blown crisis. Not yet.
And here's another little piece of data that backs that up. The cost to insure a ship that's passing through the region, it's up a little bit, but again, this isn't the massive spike you'd expect to see if war was right around the corner. It's just another signal of elevated tension, not of an actual crisis about to erupt.
So let's put all these pieces together. We've looked at the military, we've listened to the speeches, and we've followed the money. What's the overall state of play that emerges from all of this?
So here's the bottom line. The military posture? It's defensive and ready, but it's not offensive. The public talk is harsh, sure, but those private diplomatic off-ramps probably still exist. And the markets? They're cautious, but they're not panicking. All three of these different signals are basically pointing to the exact same conclusion. This is a tense state of mutual deterrence, where the real goal is to avoid a conflict, not to start one.
So in the end, what we're watching is this incredibly delicate balance. You could call it a high-stakes conversation where the words aren't spoken. They're acted out with tanker movements, surveillance flights, and insurance premiums. For now, all the signs point to crisis management, not crisis escalation. But of course, that leaves us with the critical question. In a conversation this fragile, what will the next word be?